Hello, Internet. This is SAR Mortinian, and we're here to do some science before working on some other things. We're going to continue working on the EVE mission, but something I've realized is that I don't actually have a kind of probe that I really need in order to design a probe body, I should say, in order to design the ship the way I want to. So what I've decided to do, since I'm not going to be sending a manned mission to Duna or its moon for a while, is send a space probe. Notice this is almost the exact same design as the ship they got to Duna, and the reason for that is because the only difference between this ship and that, and the landing ship, is this ship is lighter. This ship is actually substantially lighter and more efficient. So I figured the same design they got the other one there could probably get this one there. And we're going to do some science in the space near Duna and near Ike. And hopefully that will get us enough science to unlock the new probe bodies so we can do some work. I'm going to fly this again because there could be some interesting things to say about just the differences about trying to just get into a nice stable orbit around Duna versus before we were trying to land on Duna. Might get some interesting things. I won't put you through the science. I won't put you through the interplanetary travel. I'm going to not record during that section because you don't care, I'm sure, if for no other reason, because you've already seen me fly to Duna before. And not only that, but you've seen me fly to Duna before with the exact same ships, so what could there really be that's interesting? The one difference, I guess, that I made is I put the reaction control wheels much higher on this ship, so that when I discard these lower sections, I'll still have the ability to turn this very quickly and have a lot of control. Once we drop this, I'll see how we're doing. What I can tell right now, it looks like we're not looking too bad. Alright, how's our orbit? Certainly not terrible. Alright. It's up to around 70, and then we'll actually probably going to take a little bit more shallow of an approach here to get some, okay, much more shallow of an approach here to get some additional delta V. Out of this fuel source. Much more shallow approach. In fact, I think I'm just going to kill it. Where are we on the fuel for this section? We're about halfway there. We might actually even be able to get to not have to use this to get into orbit. We might even be able to get something out of these. That's, I guess, the benefit of dropping some of that weight. I don't know how much weight the landing struts accounted for, but it was apparently enough. Oh, you know what? It might have been some air resistance because the landing struts were in these regions of open space. So this might just be a less resistant frame. It's entirely possible. All right. As we come near the apoapse here, we'll go ahead and time accelerate a little bit. Just going to show you that I start the interplanetary trip, and then I will leave the rest to your wonderful imaginations. Alright, here we go. Four, three, two, one. A little higher. I need to go. A little lower. I need to go now. Oh! Oh! And it's time to stage. There we go. Alright, probably use a little bit of height. Drag that up. Alright, and up. 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 There we go. Roughly circularized orbit. Okay, I will see you once I hit Duna. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are in an orbit about Duna. Okay, I could do things more efficiently than this, but I'm not going to bother with it because I've got plenty of fuel. So we're going to slow this orbit down out here. Get into a nice circle. Yep. Well, alright. Not quite a circle, but close enough for me, and I don't want to go in too close because I don't want to risk hitting the planet. But what we can do from here is we can start doing some high Duna science. So, observe that mystery goo. Gonna observe the materials bay. Transmit that mystery goo. I didn't see how much the materials bay was. Regardless. Oh, quite a bit, apparently. Alright, so I'm going to cut out while I'm doing this science to death. And then I'll be back in when it's time to fix the orbit. Okay, all of that science has been done. We have capped out on that. So here we are in this polar orbit that we need to trim down. So I'm going to try and get a maneuver node right here at the periap. So let's see what it's going to take. I guess do a nice low Kerbin orbit. Only a couple hundred meters per second of delta V. Well, I'm okay with that. Interesting note, let's see what it would take to drop us near Ike. Just so we can do that encounter if, you know, that ever becomes a concern. A 2-for-1 special. There we go. 159 meters per second of delta V to drop us between a relatively low Kerbin orbit and an Ike orbit. Let's see where we're going to have to go. Right there about. Well, it's 6 days out, so let's do this. As we accelerate forward, the maneuver node is able to kind of trim up a little bit, which is nice. We should be able to get an orbit on Ike relatively easily, and then all we need to do is have a low Duna orbit section of science and an Ike section of science. And that should get us more than enough science to unlock the probes, maybe even give us some bonus research stuff that we can have Jeb go out and do. Never know. Okay, we're getting close now. 1 day. 10 hours. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. 57 minutes. All right. Here we are about the mighty red planet once again. Just a little bit of time acceleration to try and push through these few remaining minutes here. $16, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Just counting down the minutes, quite literally, until I can... Oh, that's close enough, isn't it? See what I can do about getting an intersection there. There we go. It's 1.2 meters per second of delta V. Probably accomplish that right here. Yeah, all right. We have a potential intersection lined up. Now, we go out to the level of Ike, and we're going to bring this in. Oh! Oh, that's an Ike intersection. All right, well, that will do. That will certainly do. Let's go ahead and ignore this once. And let's see what kind of science we're getting here. Observe the materials bay. High over Duna. Same stuff we were getting before. Not worth it. So I guess let's go actually make that adjustment. Might as well, right? 2 birds, 1 stone. All that good stuff. Oh. No intersection about Ike. All right. That looks pretty good. 64 meters per second of delta V in 5 hours, and we will have a nice setup for a potential intersection with Ike, and also be in low Duna orbit once in a while to do that research. I do recognize that this is a polar orbit, and that's kind of silly, but, you know, maybe we're trying to map the planet. You don't know. You weren't on the mission briefing. I mean, neither was I, so none of us really know. We have no way to know. Ugh, once again, counting down these minutes. But they're so boring. Six, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good enough for me. Right, let's get this periaps nice and low, so we can get some low orbit science. Come on there, big boy. Wonder what low orbit counts as. I'm going to go for 80 and pray. Alright, we're going to have an orbit about Ike. Very nice. If I can do all of my science on this pass, we can leave this in orbit about Ike and just be okay with that. Well, let's see what happens. I'm going to drop out the video so you guys don't have to watch me do... Actually, I should probably show you the initial values of the boring science, shouldn't I? To be nice and thorough about my work. Yeah, okay, I'll show you the initial values. Okay, what's my altitude? Pretty low. Pretty darn low. Am I getting different science? In space near Duna, beautiful, new science. The material study gives me 175 scientific value. The goo gives me 70 scientific value. Does the thermometer give me anything out here? It does not seem to, no. But it is rather cold, negative 50 degrees Celsius. Well, I'm going to do this science, and then I will show back up when we're in orbit about Ike. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to see what we can do about the orbit about Ike. Let's see what it looks like, what we're getting. This claims that I'm going to be falling right behind the planet, but from the size of the planet and the size of this, I think I might be running into the planet, which at this juncture is not what I intend to do. So, ooh, not quite, but close, very close. It's a nice low orbit. I wonder if there's different science out here. High orbit about Ike, maybe. There is. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have this nice eccentric orbit about Ike. There we go. So I can get my nice high orbit research and I can get my nice low orbit research. I think that's the official plan. All right. Let's do this. We are 43 minutes out. I will time accelerate to that point. I think we're actually going to do this one live because we are so close to the planet that I don't want to accidentally hit it. I don't know what the size of the mountains on Ike are, and I'm just not willing to risk it. Let's leave it at that. I know there's no atmosphere, so luckily we're not going to be doing an arrow braking maneuver here, but we're coming in close enough for texture. Oh, God. All right, that was terrifying. So, 2 minutes out. Not getting much sunlight. That's okay. Oh, not getting any sunlight. Looks like I'll be okay. Very, very tight orbit, but not destructive. Let's go back in the orbit view so that I can get my nice highly eccentric orbit set up. Come on, come on. There we are, and down, right where I want it. Now I'll start doing some research, shall we? I'll get back to you when the research is done and tell you how it went. Alright, I'm done with the science about Ike, and I have a little bit of fuel left and a crazy idea. That crazy idea is, I don't have any landing struts, which is a mistake, but I have a fair amount of fuel, and we're going to see if I can land on Ike. If I can, awesome. If we crash, no big loss. This probe's done what it needs to do. It doesn't really serve any other purposes in this system, so if we crash, no big deal. Alright, burn time. Okay. We're going to want to land on this side of the planet here. So schedule a burn here. Will take us down. We'll try and land there. I guess ideally we'd want to land in the middle of the planet, so I'll try and land... Oh, it disappeared. That's too bad. I'll try and land there. We'll see how that goes. Pray that I can actually land. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to land on the actual rocket engines, which, well, I think needless to say is a little bit insane. But Ike has fairly low gravity. We're not flying that heavy of a rocket, especially considering the fact that there's no fuel in it right now. I think it's definitely possible that we could land it. I think it's one of those things the Kerbals at back down at Kerbal Space Station are probably sitting there like, oh man, this is a great idea. Let's just go for it. Because they know they're not getting this probe back no matter what they do. So they might as well just have some fun. Right? Right. Alright, we're going to do this all in staging now because this is actually a landing. So, there we are. We deorbited successfully. We're dropping where we want to. Yep, alright. Now, how far out is this? 4 minutes. Alright, we'll accelerate through this a bit, so we don't have to put up with all 4 minutes. It's traveling at about 300 meters per second, which means I'm going to need to kill that, which means I can't afford, with the small amount of fuel that I have, to really start burning until we're very close to the ground. All right. Not quite to the point where I'd like to be yet. Here's the point that I wanted to be. But we're out of fuel. All right, well, that is what happens, I suppose. Let's see if we can survive. We're going to crash, but we're going to crash on the bottom first and hope that the rest of the ship breaks beneath us and leaves the top intact. That's going to be the goal. Let's see if we can do it. This is the best strategy for landing. I'm sure you remember from K.A.S.A. Episode 1. Some of these strategies for landing, or was it Episode 1? I don't know. Regardless, there was a designed failure strategy in my landing protocols. All right, let's do this. Do I No, didn't survive. Was going too fast. Well, such is the way. The Kerbals are very sad that they don't get their surface data, but they got a lot. So let's go back to the Space Center, and let's see how much science we got from that. Ooh, quite a bit, 1,500. All right. Now I needed to get those probes. Where were they under? They were here. Here we go. A couple nice probes for only 300 science. What's this? Better probes I don't need. A better probe that I don't need. What else do I want to get? I don't need that. That would have given us, however, a better probe for what? A better, cheaper probe. But all's well that ends well, yeah? Let's see. We don't need that. But this would be great. This would actually be great for what I'm trying to do. Both getting the fuel up into space and actually leaving or connecting the fuel to our pods. We're going to go ahead and grab that. We don't need that. Don't need that. I would appreciate these, the big solar arrays, for later use. What do we have in terms of science? We got this. What does that unlock for us? Ooh, even more science. The negative gravioli detector, a device for capturing and measuring the elusive negative gravioli particle, used for determining the precise strength of gravitational fields, warranty void if used to detect positive gravioli particles. Well, I'm thinking we may have to attach another science pod to the ship that we send out there, purely so that we can do a little bit more of the science. What's this? We don't know. If we pick up this, however, we will know. Oh, but then I can't pick up this. I couldn't have picked it up anyway. That's okay. Ah, there's a very nice RTG radiostopic thermoelectric generator. It's a passive generator that I would like to pick up relatively soon, but we'll do that later. Alright. I've got one more flight for you, and I will, I've actually got to go build that flight now that I have some of the parts that I needed, and I will show you that in just a minute. Alright, here's that last flight I promised you. We are going to put one of the 4 fuel tanks for the final mission to Eve, the manned mission to Eve, up on the station. This is using a lot of the research that we just unlocked, actually. There's a probe right there to control this when it's in orbit and working by itself to try and dock. There is a probe down here so that I can make sure to deorbit properly. And, well, I mean, yeah. This is a ship that I've tested many times, as you can see with all these structural supports. It liked to break. It liked to break a lot. There's a lot of force here. There's a lot of force here to lift a lot of mass. But luckily with the mainsail engines, I'm more than capable of providing that force. You can see here at about, I think that's 75% power rather than 2/3. I'm able to get the between 2 and 3 Gs that are needed to have kind of an efficient flight up into orbit. And I think this is a decent design. It's not by any means a cost-effective design. I'm very glad that an economy has not been implemented yet, because if that were the case, this is far too expensive, I'm sure, to be practical in any way, especially if I have to do 4 different flights, which is what I have to do. You only have to see one. I promise you I will not subject you to 4 of this. That would just be cruel. Okay, the first stage is... Oh, another thing that's interesting, this is really just a 3-stage. Well, I guess it's a 4-stage. We've got the bottom stage here, which is just a lot of these. The middle stage, which has the radio rockets, which you're about to see fire. All of the radio rockets. And then you've got the top stage, which is just the fuel tank. And it's controlled kind of manually. And controlled via RCS, effectively. I didn't set this as target. Ooh, this is going to be a tricky one. It's already saying that we're close enough. Well, I'm going to attempt to burn very, very hard to try and actually get this intersection. That would be lovely, in my opinion, if we could get this before actually going up there. All right, come on. Come on now. Drag it in, drag it in. How's my fuel doing? Pretty good. And yes, you can see the numbers for fuel up here are insane. This is not representative of any of my previous missions. Oh, it's in front of us. It beat us. That's okay. We might have to make a revolution about the planet, but all is well. Alternatively, we might actually just burn into it. That's another entire possibility. Burn this down a bit. Try and keep the apoaps in its orbit. Alright, I haven't quite made it yet. I am dragging these a lot closer, though. I'm rather excited for that. Come on. Okay, I'm going to need to make a burn here, or at least near the apoaps, to ensure that I don't fall back. Oh, never mind, we're good. Okay. We've got an intersection coming up here. That's not very good. We'll see if we can't trim it up a bit. Actually, first let's see, how are we doing on fuel? Oh, not very good. Not very good at all. Alright, well, regardless, we will burn directly towards our target until the end of our fuel, potentially. Ooh, maybe not so much. Alright, we're going to go ahead at this point because there's, I think, no fuel left in these. Oh, there's a touch, but I'm not as concerned about it. We're going to go ahead and drop them. Like that. Nice fancy burn off the back, ensuring safety of all involved. Alright, we're going to flip this around. Do a bit of a retrograde burn. We're going to try and kill a lot of this. We've still got a lot of fuel to work with because we are dealing with just the upper stage here. In fact, I think at this point, since we're moving with respect to the target, we should just be able to burn directly towards it and be perfectly okay. We definitely have the fuel for it, I'll tell you that much. Alright, let's do it nice and soft. Okay. Where is our target? Right there, 29 kilometers away. It's more than fine. Something else we can do. We've got plenty of electrical generation. I will show you the electrical panels that I've attached to this when the time comes. Okay. Over adjust this a bit to compensate for what I'm sure will happen. Now let's run time forward a little bit. Oh, we're back in. We're back below orbit. Yeah, let's burn towards it nice and quickly. Just nice and really quickly. There's a good intersection. All right. Set up a maneuver in advance. So we drag around again quite nicely. We'll probably be burning in this direction. No one can say for sure. It's very difficult, I've got to say, generally to do docking, but I think it's even more so difficult to dock these really large structures. It's necessary, considering what we will be doing. The mission that we're attempting to accomplish, this very, very large structure is going to be completely necessary. But it doesn't mean that I'm excited. It's going to be a rather arduous task. Okay. Let's move up to our expected burn time. Hopefully we will be out of the atmosphere again by then. We will. Just going to really quick get there. So I don't feel nearly as bad. All right, and you know, I'm going to go ahead and just kill all my relative velocity with respect to this because we're pretty close, and I feel comfortable burning. I feel very comfortable burning. Oh, goodness. Let's go ahead and kill all of this so we can start burning directly towards our target, which is only a couple of kilometers away. 1.5, as it so happens. All right, you may notice as I'm swinging this ship here, the targeting reticle is actually moving with me, the velocity reticle. And that is because of just how massive this ship is. The momentum as I swing it about in its asymmetry is actually providing us a little bit of a velocity with respect to the target. Okay. Let's burn this way, just a scotch. Get it going in right at the target. One more, come on. Good enough for me. 10 meters per second. More than good enough for me. I'm not really concerned about burning this RCS because I have a ton of it. I've connected a 750 unit tank to this ship, and the RCS is entirely going to be used in order to facilitate docking. Once that happens, I'm not concerned. I'm actually going to use this RCS to help fuel up the space station, which I'm sure is missing some at this point. And I mean, yeah, I'm really not concerned. It's an impressive lack of concern that I have for the RCS situation. Oh, why did I lose targeting? Come on now. Says target. There we go. Okay. And do a correction out here. Okay. RCS especially is moving that thrust vector. Well, let's do this. We'll use the RCS to help explicitly kill all relative velocity. Come on now. Fine. Turn off the RCS just so I can get to this point. Okay. Once we're here, we will... Whoops. Burn retrograde. Oh, come on now. Don't do that to me. On the RCS. Retro. Let's try and bring it down some. Good enough. Alright. Let's refocus on the target that is only 300, 400, I suppose, meters away. Need just this little bit of rotation here. I already picked up 0.2 meters per second. This is going to be very difficult. Once I disattach the bottom of this and I'm working with just the top piece, it's a perfectly balanced structure. So about the RCS tank, so we should be okay. Right now, while I'm trying to set it up, it certainly is a chore. Okay, and kill it. Now we flip around. Slowly but surely. Oh, I still have the SAS on. There's part of my problem. Alright. Don't counteract that movement. I don't want that movement. I want to fly until we're facing... We're almost right on top of it, really, is what I'm looking for. Okay. There we go. Now here it is where I'll turn on the SAS. Right there, to make sure that I can slow down at exactly the moment that we need me to. Okay. How are we doing? Three. Just kind of nudging it in a little bit. Okay, no meters per second. Now, as I said before, we've got a balanced structure on the bottom. Control from here, decouple the node. Okay. We're going to move parallel to north. We're going to SAS. Now we're going to RCS over. Let's figure out what our directions are. Not that way. That way. That way and that way. Let's do this. You can see that with the single RCS, I'm moving very slowly. That's actually by design. I did want to only barely just move these because they are very massive structures, and if it got to the point where you're having problems, well, I mean, alright, so we're going to control from this docking port because that's actually what I'm going to want facing our target, which is going to be one of these side docking ports. So for instance, this one seems to be the one that we're lining up with. Now I'll be able to rotate this ship once we're in position to face that docking port exactly and hopefully just glide it in very gently. This ship still has plenty of power and the ability to generate power, so I can deorbit it very easily. It's going to crash because I didn't put parachutes on it because I'm not too concerned about it. But, oh, I don't know, maybe we can land it. Maybe we could be cool and land it. Who knows? Who knows? All right, we're going to attach this opposite to the other ship. The main ship. All right, well, now we're working on a limited 1,002 units of power with our device that is going to drain 1 power per, maybe 30 power per revolution of the planet. I still feel for some reason as though we are safe. All right. Okay, now I need to kill this velocity. We're going to go up. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to rotate this ship until the docking port is facing the target that we want, because we are very close, and I feel relatively confident in this. Now, we turn on the RCS. And we have our direction of movement line up perfectly. We put it in that position, and we run SAS, and we just wait. Hopefully, I'm coming in at a bit of an angle, but hopefully this should connect with that Clampatron. It is on a direct interception course for it. If it does, it will shake the station substantially as it connects, but we will be connected. I'm going to turn on the RCS and slow down a little bit because I'm sort of worried about the speed at which we're connecting the station at. Okay, and here it comes. Hopefully, are we close enough? We are, with that little bit of a push. All right, here we go. Here we go. It's trying to figure it out. The magnets are working their hardest. We've got a very massive object attempting. There we are. We're connected. The station is fully connected. Okay. I'm not going to target that. Now, we can extend these solar panels. I believe them to be the strongest panels in the game. We also just unlocked those thanks to our extended Duna science mission. And they produce, at Kerbin, about 18 units of power, so long as they have full exposure to the sun. So you can imagine with 16 of these, we are not going to have any issues with power, even if we're transmitting endless amounts of data. Alright, and then these powers units are only there for when the pod is on the surface of Gilly. Let's time accelerate a little bit till we're in the sun, just so I can show you. Alright, there we go. The panels move into position. Aren't they beautiful? This is going to be a wonderful trip. Now I'm going to actually reorient. Oh, goodness. Oh! I need to control from here again. There we go. You can actually see with so many SAS attachments on this ship, it's already moving really well, and I expect that when we're in interstellar space or interplanetary space attempting to make adjustments, we won't have issues like we've had in the past. Alright, let's get it nice and parallel with the planet there, facing north. Do a quick little time acceleration to freeze it in place. There we go. Alright, so this panel seems to be fully exposed, and as 1630. Is it fully exposed? No, it's only 90% exposed. Okay, well, that's still pretty good. But as you can see, we're still producing copious amounts of power. And as you hopefully can also see, this is going to be a very large mission. There's going to be a lot of fuel. I want to have big margins because Jebediah's life is on the line, and the Kerbals, they could do math, but why bother, right? Of course. Those are mostly full, so we're going to leave them full. Okay. Now, we're going to actually... Oh, no, we're close enough now. Oh, no! Alright, fine. We're going to switch to the pod that's separate from this, and we're actually going to... Oh, my goodness, there's no SAS units on this. This is terrible. We've got tons of fuel, so these... Well, I want to show you what these do. I want to show you what they do. We have plenty of fuel. We can very, very easily burn this down. I mean, we have, especially considering we're just moving the one tank and a pod and a docking clamp, we have got probably several thousand units of Delta V, even with the incredibly inefficient mainsail engine. Actually, I guarantee you we have several thousand units of Delta V here. But if I can get this facing the exact right direction, I can stage into these 6 deorbiting RCS devices, and let's see if this will deorbit us. All 6 will fire. It's a very massive tank. It's not going to deorbit us, I don't think. How much did where are we? There we are. And our orbit did not change. Okay, so 6 is not enough for a full orange tank. That's okay. It was a design choice. It was a poor design choice, but it was a design choice nonetheless. The good news is we can deorbit it manually because, as I said before, we have plenty of fuel. 2,880 units, as it so happens. We have a full fuel tank. I thought we burned some. I could swear, in fact, that we burned some. That's rather disconcerting to me. Might mean that we lost a little bit out of that fuel tank. We'll have to be much more careful about that in the future. If we did, luckily it's not much. It was only about 100 units of Delta V. So, I mean, we'll survive. But even still. Alright. Facing the right direction, and let's deorbit. There we are, we've deorbited. I'm going to see if I can't land over these mountains here. Oh, the engine's overheating. That is a problem with the mainsail, is they're very, very large, and they tend to overheat if you run them at full capacity, which is another reason why I was running the launch at about 75%. Okay, I think this will land on this continent. There's actually a Kerbal space station, so the debris will not be too far away. The Kerbals will have the same country to claim their wreckage back. In fact, if we're very, very good at this, we might be able to land this and allow the Kerbals to get a decent amount of their ship parts back. Alright. Going to see shock heating pretty soon. There we are. There's that. And here we are at 6,000. Let's see if with all of this fuel that we have left, we can burn to a nice, relatively safe landing. Unlike the landing we tried on Ike earlier, this is a much more powerful engine, and we're not going to lose the fuel. Okay. We're going to have plenty of fuel when this is over. Let's try and burn this to be straight up and down. It's very difficult with this device. Okay, we're going to SAS to straight up, which is our best chance of surviving this. If we lose the rocket, that's okay. It's understandable given the circumstances, I feel. Ooh, that's quite heavy, isn't it? Oh, we lost all of it. That's the problem with massive tanks. Oh well, we tried very hard. Perhaps in future iterations I will attach parachutes, but that's for another day. Thank you very much for watching this episode of K.A.S.A, and I will see you next time.